What's up, guys? This is Nick from Arch City Poker, and in today's video, I'm gonna be starting a new series that I will upload a video for probably once every maybe few weeks, maybe once a month. I'm gonna title it Poker Grad School. It's gonna be more advanced material and content. It may be material that you can use on a more novice level or in lower stakes games, but for the most part, this will be a little bit more advanced content for you guys that are starting to progress in your poker careers, or you guys that are already pretty advanced and need something fresh, and the How to Beat Live Low Stakes Poker series doesn't really help you much. The Poker 101 doesn't do much for you. This is pretty much going to be for you guys. So as I've stated in the last couple videos, I'm trying to move towards more hand analysis, and the series that I titled The Grind, I pretty much believe that I have approval from my casino to shoot some live vlogs there of just myself and doing some live hand analysis. So I'm looking very forward to that series, as it seems to have received a ton of positive feedback, and I think it'll be much improved. It'll be shorter, more entertaining, more useful. And then the poker hand reviews, and like I said, I think the recorded sessions, I'm trying to get more into like more hand analysis because I think that helps you guys. I also stated I wasn't going to talk as much as I do in a lot of my videos, try to get more to the point. So without further ado, let's get into this slideshow, and I'm gonna blitz through it pretty quickly. So just keep up with me. If you guys have any questions or comments afterwards, then obviously let me know. So the topic for this first video of this series is gonna be pre-flop initiative and why it does not often matter who has it. So what's the theory behind taking the pre-flop initiative in the first place? Why do you want to raise? To put it quite simply, you raise hands at the top of your range because that's how you maximize the EV of those hands in your range. You want to make more money, and raising these hands makes total sense. You add more hands the more in position you become due to how powerful the informational advantage is when you are last to act. As we all know, position in poker is very powerful. Speculative hands are added for board coverage and balance against specific player pools and opponents. So obviously you'll sometimes have some suited connectors, some light raises. These hands don't need to be used as often from out of position, especially against your weaker opponents. You just need to have more absolute hand strength. But for a more advanced setting, you will have some hands to balance out the hands that are at the top of your range. I check to the razor. I can't tell you guys how often I hear this. I'm sure you hear this quite often as well. So what are the misconceptions of the pre-flop initiative or having it? As I said, this is said all the time and is a consistent thought in most players' minds. I should be checking to the razor because he should strength pre-flop, and I should respect that. There is truth to this, but this should only be the case when your opponent has the following going for him. Your opponent has a clear range advantage over you. Your opponent has a positional advantage on you, and you don't have the clear range advantage. Range advantage in this case can be neutral, but your opponent still has position, and that is, of course, powerful and important. Otherwise, you should be considering betting and raising more often post-flop when you have the range advantage. This will include sometimes donk betting into the pre-flop raiser from out of position and raising the pre-flop raiser c-bet when in position. So, but Nick, why? Well, it's quite simple, guys. When your range smashes a flop or post-flop card, such as the turn or river, much more often than your opponent's range, you are pushing so much more expected value. And if you want it even more simple than that, when you can rep more strong hands than your opponent, you, in theory, want to make the pot larger because you, therefore, are making more money. This means you should be doing the majority of betting and raising in these spots, no matter if you have the pre-flop initiative or not. This will not only maximize the expected value of your entire range, but will make you a much tougher player to play against, and that is a very important, powerful advantage to have as far as mental game is concerned. So let's go over some hand examples to show you guys what I'm talking about. Early position, tight, aggressive player opens to 5x in a live 1-2 game. So he opens to $10 and you flatten the big blind with king, jack of hearts. The flop comes out 6-5-4 rainbow with backdoor heart draw, and the action is on you. Too many players check to the razor automatically here and often just plan to fold, as it is now unprofitable to continue because they have missed and don't have many outs. This is wrong, though. You should be leading here at least some of the time, if not most of the time, against weak and passive opponents, because your perceived range contains all the nuttish combos on a 6-5-4 flop texture. You would also want to lead hands such as 6-5 suited and bottom set, which would be pocket fours. Your early position tight aggressive players, guys, are not going to be raising a lot of hands that hit this board texture hard. They're not going to have often sixes to deuces in their range. As you guys can see, you'll often have a lot of fold equity, as your opponent will fold out a ton of his range on this board, usually as unpaired hands. Like I said, he's going to be very Broadway heavy, so he's going to fold all of those usually. And it's going to be tough for him on a lot of turns with hands such as pocket jacks and pocket tens, where even if you are called, you can often barrel good turns, such as any king, jack, 7-3, or heart. And it's going to put your opponent in a very tough bind. And a lot of them may even overfold the turn with some overpairs. But the bottom line is you are just going to be very tough to play against. And you shouldn't expect to get raised here too often, as your opponents just simply won't have the nuttish hands that you are, in fact, representing. Here's another example, an aggressive middle position player in a 5-10 live game with the preflop initiative. C-bets too often on 9-6-3, diamond, diamond, spade. Raise often here with hands such as 7-6 of spades, so it'd be middle pair, backdoor straight, backdoor flush, and then stuff like overs with diamond draws. You have position, and there isn't necessarily a clear range advantage. Yes, your flatting range needs to be perceived as strong, and it probably will be in a 5-10 game if you are in fact in this kind of game and you're playing pretty fundamentally sound preflop. Your opponent will have more overpairs, but your perceived range can usually have all sets, strong combo draws, and some overpairs yourself. So the most important thing to consider here, there, guys, is that you are in position, and he misses just far too often here. He is out of position. He should not be c-betting this often. Therefore, that is a big part of having the range advantage. And I believe this is the last example. You guys are on the button. In a live 2-5 game, you isolate a weak late position limp caller with jack 9 of spades, and he donk leads into you heads up on a queen or a king queen 9 board for half pot. So we have bottom pair in the gutter. He donk leads into us. Most players would raise most hands preflop that really smash this texture, such as sets, jack 10 suited for the straight, 2 pairs, top pair, top kicker like ace king. Range advantage is way in favor of you, as you have the nuttish hands in your range and he just doesn't. You also have the overall stronger range, as this player has limp called into you with a lot of probably junky suited hands, a lot of weaker hands that should be folded pre-flop. So as long as this player isn't just stacking off with weak top pair, prepare to raise and barrel him off of his entire range with a combination specifically that you have that blocks a lot of his stronger hands, and it just lacks a showdown value against any king X or maybe even some queen X that he decided to donk lead for some reason. You should be the one betting and raising this kind of flop texture, not him. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, let me know if you have any feedback. I hope I got through this pretty quickly and efficiently, and I hope it was a good advanced topic for you guys. Just keep in mind, pre-flop initiative, yes, players' ranges should be stronger. Just think about how your guys' ranges hit certain flop textures, though, and how they interact with the board. Whoever has a clear range advantage, that player should be the one putting the money into the pot more often and in a more aggressive manner. So just keep that in mind. And until next time, this is Nick from Arch City Poker. Take care.